Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're beginning to enjoy the change of seasons and finally cold is going away and we can enjoy a different type of lifestyle and go outdoors and enjoy much better everything that's around us. So I hope that's the status in your life. And if you live in a very far away place, because now with internet, God only knows where you're watching us from. I hope you're having a beautiful time, a beautiful weather, a beautiful everything. Because even in the winter time, there are a lot of good things to see, a lot of good things to enjoy. So I hope that's the case. I'm your friend, Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I'm here through the courtesy of Truth Be Told Radio Network. You can tune on this program every Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we repeat the same program every Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m. But if for any reason you lost any of the broadcasts and you want to examine or re-examine any of the talks that we have given, well, you can search for Truth Be Told Radio Network on Spotify, and you're going to find us there. You can also find us on every platform, social media, the one of your choice, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, you name it. We have so many today now, like Twitch, etc., that you can go to any of them and look for me, Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, for Truth Be Told Radio Network, and here we're going to be with you. Because this is my quest. This is one of the things I do and that are very dear, very important to me. Share the word of what people can do to preserve health, to bypass disease, prevent, and to recover and be able to handle and manage disease in a much better way. Because there is a lot more from what meets the eye. We have been convinced that medical care is all about going to a doctor, getting a prescription, getting a drug, taking it, and that's it. Unfortunately not. You have to consider that we're living people, we're living organisms, we were created by God. We have a lot of functions, and we function along with a lot of things that are around us, and through generations we have learned to live with other animals, with many of them microscopic, and no, microbial life is not necessarily bad. There are many microbes that live on us, around us, inside us, that are actually a blessing, that can do a lot of functions for ourselves, take care of ourselves, prevent a lot of diseases. So we have to learn to live with that too. And we have to learn with the foods that were provided to us by God, and we have to learn how to live a healthy life along. And if there is any disturbance in our health, we have to understand that there are many things we can do to help. We can certainly lend a hand to whatever medical condition we have if we just learn a few tricks. If we just learn that lifestyle and food and enough water and exercise and sunlight and etc., can be a big help to whatever condition we have. Not only that, but we can prevent altogether many diseases just by taking care of those things. So if we learn all these things that I'm talking about, we might have a lot easier life and a much successful healthcare throughout our lives, and also be able to advise anybody that we love. And today I'm going to talk about something that has been very much in everybody's mind for the last couple of years. I'm talking of COVID-19. This is a viral epidemic that we didn't see coming. But nevertheless, when it arrived with very virulent, very aggressive. It produced a lot of symptoms. It produced many things that in the beginning even doctors didn't fully understand what was going on, and took a big toll. There were many people who died, and it is considered now that about 6 million people around the globe contracted the disease. And death toll is very high, particularly in the beginning. Once again, we had a problem that we didn't know it's coming, and we didn't know necessarily very well how to act with this disease. But as we learn to deal with it, and as our bodies learn to deal with it, we started figuring out a much better way to handle it, and everything has gone down and hopefully will go away, and hopefully we're going to go back to normality, whatever is in the corner of the world that you live in. We're hopefully going to go back to normality. However, once we see the light at the end of the tunnel, all of a sudden it seems that we're dragging a new problem very much connected with COVID. Because many people, as many as 1/3 of the people that have contracted COVID, will maintain a number of symptoms and problems that are becoming an issue, particularly for those people. They're not easy to handle it. And I'm looking at several studies, and some of these studies report that about 1/3 of the cases are going to be dragging these post-COVID symptoms. And out of those symptoms, 85% of them are going to be neurological. In other words, they're going to involve the nervous system. And by saying that, what we mean is that we're going to develop so many things like headaches, mental fogginess, vertigo, and a lot of little things that we didn't have before. And then you say, I got COVID, thank God I got over it, I did very well, I'm back to work, I'm back with my life. However, you see, and that however is going to be mentioned by 1/3 of everyone that had COVID. And then the symptoms, in most of the cases, 85% of those people are going to mention a neurological symptom. So this is very important. This is what we start to call long-haul COVID. It's not COVID anymore. There's nothing you have to do with the virus. There's nothing you have to do with the acute disease. There's nothing you have to do with anything. COVID is gone. You see, sometimes I have trouble convincing people that no, this is not COVID anymore. COVID is gone. COVID is history. You can be with anyone you want. You're not going to give the disease to anyone. You are not contagious. The virus is history. But some of the problems that have been left after the virus was defeated are the symptoms that you're looking at, are the things you're feeling in your body. You see, you have, when you have COVID, you have a very aggressive inflammatory virus. This virus is going to be producing a systemic inflammation. It's going to affect every part of your body. And that part of your body is going to respond with inflammation. And that's why people with other diseases that are inflammation related like high blood pressure, like heart disease, like diabetes, do worse than people that don't have any of them. Because what they have in this case is they add inflammation over an inflammatory patient. So if you, to begin with, have inflammatory issues in your body, I have said it repeatedly, many of the everyday diseases that we look at are chronic, degenerative, inflammatory diseases. And that's cancer, that's diabetes, that's high blood pressure, that's kidney disease, that's Alzheimer's. Okay? And if you add to that picture the COVID, then the inflammation is going to be twofold, threefold. And in consequence, the damage to your body can go deeper and can be more aggressive. If, on the other hand, you were younger, healthier, in better shape, yes, you're going to develop an inflammatory picture, but it's not going to superimpose over an inflammatory person. So that's why it is so important that we take good care of ourselves. Once again, if we're prepared, we're going to be able to fight back in a much better way. If we are not prepared, if we have a chronic inflammatory condition, then we can expect that not only COVID, but anything else is going to produce a damage. See? Now, some people say, well, why, if COVID is gone already, why am I facing all this aftermath? Why all this is happening to me? Well, this is, and I heard an internist that said it in this way, and I think it's a very good way to put it and to understand it. He says, that's like if you are in a car accident. A car goes over you. Well, the car's gone, the fractures are healed, you are back home. However, there's going to be damage that's going to take weeks and months before they are completely normal again and you come back to your normal life. So long haul COVID is described as these symptoms when they last more than 6 to 8 weeks after the disappearance of the COVID-19 problem. We'll be talking about that. Don't go anywhere, stay with me. My friends, I'm very happy to be with you. I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I'm following on this conversation we're having about what we now call long-haul COVID. This is the aftermath of what happens when you develop COVID symptoms. And I was looking at the reports of a very good researcher. This is Dr. Koralnik from Northwestern University in Chicago. He's professor of neurology, and he studied a number of cases of people that had COVID. Now, he didn't choose the cases that were very sick, the patients that were in intensive care unit. He didn't necessarily choose people that were close to dying or intubated. No, he went in a different way because he wanted to find out if, in fact, once COVID clears, can produce all these long-haul symptoms that can last for weeks, if not months, and that can affect your lifestyle, your well-being, your performance, weeks and months after you clear COVID. Some of us got the disease, and thank God we had the resources to face it, to beat it, to conquer it. And then you come out of it and you say, oh my God, thank God, I did very well. Okay? I'm back home, I'm feeling very well, actually never left home. I never had an oxygen issue, so I didn't need to go to intensive care unit, not even emergency room. My oxygen level was always good, my physical activity was good. My lung compromise, if any, was very mild, was very low severity, so I can say I did very well. I glided to the disease very well. First, let me tell you, if you're that type of person, it's because you had biological resources with which face the problem. You had a good immunity, you had energy resources, you had a lot of things behind you that allowed you to do very well. Or if not very well, to survive it, to go through it in relatively short time and go back to apparent normality. But what happened after that? After that, we started noticing that people complained of a number of symptoms. And that's what Dr. Koralik wanted to see. Being in a huge university hospital as Northwestern University Chicago, he was able to collect many of these people and see what happened. And then he noticed that about a third, and this is what a lot of researchers tells us is right, about a third of people that went through COVID are going to develop neurological symptoms. Neurological symptoms in 85% of the cases. So by far, the neurological symptoms are the most important complication or aftermath symptomatology of COVID. Now, what do we say by neurological symptoms? I'm going to read because I don't want to miss anyone, and I want to tell you which are the most frequent. You might be one of them. So pay close attention. And if you find any of these symptoms in you after COVID, you're going to see how frequent they are. And later on, we're going to say the most important thing. What can we do to beat it? Because we can. Okay. Cognitive dysfunction. That is a very technical word to say mental fogginess, brain fog. When you try to do something and you cannot really focus, when you cannot really think clearly, you know what I mean. We call it fog because we can see, but we cannot see clearly. We can listen, but sounds are not as clear. We can have a lot of ideas. We want to do things, but something doesn't quite click. That's what we call mental fog. That's what we call brain fog. That's what doctors in university call cognitive dysfunction. In other words, we have problems with cognition, with recognition of things, with recognition of the things that we want to do. And those are as frequent as 81% of the cases. That means 4 out of 5 of people that develop long-haul COVID are going to have this symptom. But then you have headaches. It's so frequent. People call me and they tell me, you know, doctor, I was doing very well, I got COVID, and after that I have headaches. Numbness and tingling. And that shows that the inflammation is affecting the peripheral nervous system. Not only your brain, but also your nerves. That's why you have this numbness and tingling. One that you have heard a lot, also because of affection of peripheric nerves, is loss of taste. It's one of the first characteristics that we got. Loss of smell. About 50% of people that got COVID got these symptoms. For many of them, it was very transient, for a few days to a couple of weeks. Some of them will last longer. And those are the cases that we're talking about today. So, loss of smell, loss of taste, very characteristics. You can almost make the diagnosis of COVID just by these two symptoms. Blurred vision. 30%, nevertheless, keep in mind that if you had COVID and after you came out of it, you are noticing that your glasses don't work as well, that you are having some sort of a problem with your eyesight, it could be due to residual COVID inflammatory process, okay, and ringing of the ears. There are other symptoms that are very common, not necessarily neurological related, like fatigue. Fatigue is almost, again, like 85% of people. Why? Because the muscle is very much affected. There's a symptom that in medical terms we call sarcopenia. That's loss of flesh, literally. Using the Greek roots, it means loss of flesh. You lost your muscle during the pandemic. The muscle is gone because of the activity of the virus. The muscle was inflamed, was damaged. So after you come out of it, not necessarily means it's fatigue, it's lack of enough muscle. You have lost part of your muscle, and that has to be rebuilt. Depression, anxiety, shortness of breath, even in those people that were not affected during the disease by low oxygen level or by important lung inflammation, they might still have shortness of breath, chest pain, insomnia, and variations of the heart rate and blood pressure. 1/3 of the cases. And another few of the people will have gastrointestinal complaints. You see, if we have COVID, bear in mind, you had a systemic disease. It didn't affect your lungs because people jump at the easy conclusion that I had COVID so my lungs can be weak. No, you had a systemic disease where all your nerves, where all your muscle, where your heart, your lungs, your kidney, your pancreas, your liver, you name it, every single organ of your body has been affected. You had a systemic inflammation. In bigger or lower degree, you had a systemic inflammation. And that inflammation, of course, is going to leave residual symptoms. Let's say, for example, I'm going to give you a very crude analogy. You bump into a door, and then 2-3 days later, I come here and I say, "Hi, how are you?" And grab you by your arm. And you say, "Oh, sorry, it hurts." You bumped into this thing 3-4 days ago, yet you're still painful. Why? Because when you hit that muscle, you produce an inflammatory response that might take a week, 2 weeks, as long as 3 weeks to completely clear. So if I hold you by the arms, it's going to hurt. It's inflamed. Much easier. You go to the beach, you go to the beach and you have your suntan and you're fine, and next morning somebody puts the hand on your back and says, "How are you doing?" You say, "Oh, ouch, I got burned. My back is burned and it's hurting me." It's hurting because it is inflamed. You see, inflammation can present itself in many ways, in many fashions, but in most of them is going to be pain associated to it. Inflammation is pain. Pain means inflammation. And with that inflammation and that pain comes a restricted function. So nerves do not hurt themselves as muscles do, as joints do. Nerves do not hurt, but they cannot function properly. It's like if you have a wire at home or a telephone cable that has a short circuit or that doesn't work well, what you're going to have is you're going to grab the phone and these are all sorts of funny noises, or you're going to try to turn on the light and the bulb is going to be blinking and moving, etc., and it doesn't do the function because the conductor of that electricity is damaged, and the conductor of the nervous system has been damaged, and we have to repair it. The most important thing is you and I together can do that. Don't go anywhere. Dear friends, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I'm talking about a very important subject in this time and age: long-haul COVID or post-COVID syndrome. And I'm here through the courtesy of Truth Be Told Radio Network. And if you want to listen to this broadcast again, or if you want to share it with anybody, I would ask you to search on Spotify for Truth Be Told Radio Network. You're going to listen to this broadcast, and you're going to listen to literally more than 100 broadcasts of this nature. If you care for your own health, if you care for the health of people around you, people that you love, your family, your church members, your friends, etc., I would please advise you to follow me on the social media of your choice, on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Twitch or any of the media that you use. You're going to find me there, Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez. On Spotify, search for Truth Be Told Radio Network and listen to these broadcasts and share them with people that you like. And do me a favor, follow me. Because if you follow me, we're going to be sending you more and more information that I hope is going to help you have a healthier, longer life. And I'm not talking about medication. I'm not selling you anything. I just want to give you advice of how you can help yourself, how you can help others, and how you can achieve a healthier life, bypassing many of the terrible diseases that are becoming the best of this time. So, in this epidemic, we have seen, as we saw it in the Spanish flu, as we saw it in the medieval times with all the terrible epidemics they had, that we always had two groups of people. The people that got sick and the people that bypassed the disease. They didn't get it. On the other hand, people that got the disease, we have the people that did very well, had symptoms, had problems, but that's it. But we have people that had to go to emergency room, people that had to go to the hospital, and people of those people that had to be in intensive care unit, and people that died because of the same disease. So you can see a full scale of possible responses, from I didn't get it, that virus didn't even got close to me, to death. And what makes the difference? The difference is exactly what I'm doing day in, day out, with my patients, with the people I have the chance to talk to, with you, hopefully, to say we have to BioCare. What's BioCare? Well, it's a simple word that we put together that it comes from biology, life, and care. Care, which is a very proactive verb. Care means surveillance. Care means proactiveness. Care means taking charge. Care means seeing what I can do. See? Not just the nice situation of I'm going to live my life, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to eat whatever I want, I'm going to do whatever I want, I love my cigarette smoking, I love my drinks. I'm not going to change any of that, because if I ever get sick, I can go to the doctor is writing a prescription for me, and I'm out of a problem. Well, let me tell you, 7 out of 10 people are dying of diseases for which there is no cure. Because 7 out of 10 people are dying of diseases like cancer, like diabetes, like Alzheimer's, like high blood pressure. And if you have any of those diseases, you already know that when you went to the doctor and the doctor gave you the first prescription and you say, how long am I going to be taking this? He's going to tell you forever. So that's the sad part of this story. So we have to understand, we have to get in our minds the fact that the best healthcare we can have is the one we can provide to ourselves. And if we can bypass going to the doctor, and if we can bypass taking drugs, the longer we live without them, the better off we're going to be. And we can achieve it by making simple adjustments to our lives. And that will not happen if we don't understand it, if we don't educate about it. And that's what I'm doing. Because I review the medical literature, I see patients, I work in a hospital, so I'm in first contact with the health issues that affect us. And right now, one of the biggest problems that we have seen in the last couple of years is something no one saw coming, which is a very old-fashioned, very medieval, very last century type of epidemic that nevertheless took so many people, ruined so many things, and killed so many millions, that we have to say this was for real. This is like any of those medieval epidemics. This was like the flu, the Spanish flu. So, and we had the same type of response. Those who did very well didn't even catch it, but those who died in between, people that were mildly sick, people that went to a hospital, people that went to intensive care unit. And the difference is, what are your biological resources? What your BioCare has been, how good it has been, how much you can put into your body in order to make it stronger and healthier, so it can be better in response to any challenge, whether it's microbial or it's any other sort of challenge. We have heard it all our lives. Some people is in an accident, goes to the hospital, and the doctor comes out and he says, thank God he's a very strong person. Otherwise, he would not have survived. What do we mean by a strong person? We mean a healthy, well-performing person. A person that has taken care of himself. A person that has BioCared himself. Eating well, exercising, moving. All that together gives you a stronger person that, of course, is going to have the resources to withstand and to beat whatever challenges life is going to throw at us. So we're looking at post-COVID syndrome, at long-haul COVID. So people that had COVID, even if it wasn't very aggressive, even if it wasn't very bad, even if it was very mild, still can produce a syndrome, a number of problems that affect about 30%. 1 out of every 3 people that already had COVID. And out of those affected, the vast majority are going to be affected by neurological symptoms. And if you go to our website, if you go to our social platforms, you're going to be able to read the most common complaints among post-COVID patients, which are the mental fog, the numbness, the loss of taste, the loss of smell, the blurred vision. We're going to talk about fatigue, depression, shortness of breath, insomnia, chest pain, variation of the heart rate, variation of the blood pressure, and gastrointestinal complaints. So you don't have to write them down. You can go to any of our social media and you're going to see them and you're going to find how frequent they are, each one of them. And this is according to Dr. Koralnik from Northwestern University in Chicago. He is professor of neurology. So this is all very important to know because it can bring a lot of knowledge and education to know what we have to do. But this is for real. If you talk to people that already had this disease, you can ask them. You can see how they feel. And then you might find a lot of these symptoms that are written in the literature. There's another big study done in the United States also. Most of these studies, a lot of these studies have been done in the United States. This is in New York, in Mount Sinai Medical Center. And this is Dr. Alison Navins, that again, she's an assistant professor of neuroinfectious diseases at the School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. And she also talks about the same numbers, the same syndrome. She studied over 200 people that developed symptoms. And she says we have to take them very seriously. In other words, it's not go home, live with it, it's going to go away. You have to do something about it. You have to take them very seriously in order to be able to reduce the severity and reduce the time you're going to suffer it. Because once again, this long-haul COVID can last from weeks to months. But if you have persistent symptoms after 6 to 8 weeks of the official cure, the official end of your COVID, you belong to this group. And there are a lot of things you can do. There are a lot of things you have to do in order not only to get back to your own normality, but also to avoid future complications. You already have problems. You already had problems. So you don't want any more in the future. So this is the time. Today is the time to take action and to start doing what we have to do. And we have BioCare answers for you. Stay with me and we'll talk about it. My friends, I'm Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez, and I'm very excited because we have been talking about COVID, long-haul COVID. This is not talking about anything with the disease itself. I'm talking about people that had COVID. COVID is long gone. It's cured officially. You cannot be contagious because you don't have any more the virus. Yet you have what's called the long haul COVID. A post-COVID syndrome would be a more medical word for it. However, we're talking about the aftermath of what your body is going to resent and suffer after the whole inflammatory process of COVID went away. When people get COVID, one of the things your doctors are going to do, other than the x-rays and the CT scans and everything to see what's the damage to the lungs, is a number of measurements of inflammatory activity. So it's not surprising to see that a systemic inflammatory disease is going to leave an aftermath. They check for a number of markers like C-reactive protein and other more sophisticated that are going to tell us how your body, your whole body is responding to the disease. Now, these markers are raised because the body responds in a way that it responds to many diseases by being inflamed. Then when the virus is gone, finally gone, you conquer the disease, officially you are off the problem, you still have a lot of symptoms that last for weeks. Let's say 6-8 weeks. And you go beyond that. And you have all these symptoms that are very frequent. Very frequent. About 1/3 of every person that has suffered COVID is going to have some of these symptoms. And out of those third, most of them, 85% of them, are going to have neurological symptoms. You have mental fogginess, brain fog, as we call it. You have blurred vision. Dizziness is very frequent. Dizziness. We have depression, insomnia, and in some people you have changes in the heart rate, in the blood pressure. So you have a number of symptoms that tell you that the nerves that normally carry the neurological signal in a very nice, smooth, flawless way is not working as usual. And it is just as if you had cables at home with the phone, with the lights that are old and rotten or broken or anything. You're going to have problems with the lighting, with the heating, with the everything, with the phone lines. That's what happens in your body. So then you say, okay, I did have a systemic inflammatory response that obviously has not completely cleared. And as we were mentioning, the studies that were done at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York tells us that a lot of these persistent symptoms might be connected to an autoimmune response. When we have an aggression of this magnitude, and by magnitude I not necessarily mean that your COVID was very bad, that you were in intensive care unit. No, by magnitude I mean that it affected every single part of your body, literally from head to toe. When you have this magnitude of inflammation, there are many things that will stay in your body, and one of them might be some autoimmunity, which is when your own antibodies start affecting your own organs. So what can we do? Well, this is the time to BioCare. And in this case, I'm going to tell you something. In this case, it's going to be a very good idea to pick up a phone, to call BioCare, to pick up your computer, to contact BioCare and ask questions. Tell your story, see what's happening, and design a program for you. Because this is the case where we have to work in a very individual way. Few things are going to be very basic, like omega-3 supplementation, vitamin C supplementation, making sure that vitamin D is in good shape. And you will not be able to say by, as many patients tell me, doctor, but I go to the sunlight, I do this, I do the other. No, you have to get a blood test. So you have to go to your doctor and say, doctor, I want my vitamin D level tested. Because if I'm low, I'm going to take longer time to recoup, where I can very inexpensively supplement vitamin D and recoup a lot faster. And nobody's going to tell you. So chances are that you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you, of course you had COVID, that's why you feel that way. So all I can tell you is just get it over with. Go home. Don't worry. Don't come to my office and take my time. Just get over it. It's going to go away. That approach is not the right one. And it's not the one that you expect. So what I want you to do is say, I'm going to get the phone, I'm going to get my email, I'm going to tweet, I'm going to put a message on Facebook, whatever, and say, I had COVID so long ago, I'm feeling this. And we're going to get back to you. You don't have to pay anything. This is absolutely free. I want you to contact us and tell me what's happening to you and what I think you can do. And this is the perfect time, absolutely the perfect time to make a BioCare getaway plan. To say, I owe it to myself, I'm going to go to BioCare for 10 days, for 2 weeks, and to start a full recovery program. What would you say? What do we mean by that? What I mean is that you're going to come to a hospital with a lot of tender loving care that's going to be taking care of every aspect of the problem. There have been reports, very encouraging reports, that simple things like oxygen with glucose intravenously might help to heal the membranes of the neurons in a faster way. But that takes a hospital, because you're going to have that glucose dripping in your vein at the same time that you're getting oxygen through your nose, in your respiratory system. And in many cases followed by hyperbaric oxygen, which is oxygen at a higher pressure, so you can saturate literally your whole body with a lot of oxygen, because oxygen is healing. Oxygen in itself can be considered of medical value. And along with the glucose that the nerves use a lot, it can give fantastic results. Another things that we do is we do intravenous magnesium. Magnesium is a mineral that's missing in most people. And I don't say that. It is the Center for Disease Control that tells me that 40% of Americans are depleted in essential minerals. And magnesium is probably one of the first most depleted minerals in the human body in America. So we have to do something. And what we do is we start with intravenous magnesium, intravenous other different mineral packages, because we have a targeted nutrition protocol We're going to find out what you need, put it in the vein. And we're going to be giving you the food you need. We're going to try to not only raise your nutritional status, but improve your intestinal flora, to cleanse you through enemas, to use the friendly bacteria that your intestinal flora needs, not only by providing it to your body, but by making sure you're going to eat the types of foods that these bacteria love. If you love meats and sugar, you have certain type of bacteria in your gut. If you like veggies and fruits, you have a different one. If you have dairy products, you have a different one. So you have to prepare the type of food that's going to raise the type of bacteria that's going to help you to fight inflammation. That's right. The bacteria in your gut can change the way your immune system works, can change the way your immunity works, because it is immunity what brings this inflammation down into the proper control, or that makes it possible for the inflammation to last for weeks and months. So you're going to improve a lot, you're going to shorten the evolution of your problem, and you're going to be regaining a lot of resources. You're going to be replenishing on energy, you're going to be replenishing in good protein, you're going to be replenishing in a lot of good hormones like vitamin D, like serotonin, like a lot of things that when your body comes to healthier conditions is going to be able to produce. That is the BioCare promise. That if you say, I'm going to spend 10 days with BioCare, I'm going to gain 10 years of better function and well-being. So, if I'm already suffering from this syndrome, this is the time to do something about it and gain a lot for my body. And you can do a lot of things. You have to be proactive. You have to be taking care of yourself. This is not, unfortunately, something your doctor is going to help you with. You have to make the changes. You have to make the choices. You can pick up the phone and call BioCare. You can send your question. You can ask your problem. Because we're going to be 100% with you to help you. We'll see you next week.